Hari Om. Let's start with 3 Oms and Sahana Bhavatu and then Guru Brahma. Sahana Bhavatu, Sahano Bhunaktu, Saha Viryam Karavavahai, Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwaraha, Gurudeva Padam Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Okay, Hari Om. My name is Yagna for those of you that don't know me, although I'm pretty sure I know all of you here. I am a CHYK that has done the YEP course. I was in the 3rd YEP batch, and it makes me really, really happy, nervous, and excited to be here talking to you on this end when I usually sit on that end listening to all of the other acharyas and swamijis. What I'd like to do is I'd like to sing the whole entire first verse of Sadhana Panchakam. We can sing that together, and then the first line of the 2nd verse will be lead and repeat. Vedo nityamadhiyatam taduditam karma svanushthiyatam teneshasya vidhiyatam apachitihi kamye matistyajyatam papaughah paridhuyatam bhavasukhe doshonusandhiyatam Atmecha vyavasiyatam nijagrihat turnam vinirgamyatam sangha satsu vidhiyatam bhagavato bhaktir dridhadhiyatam. And I will stop there because that is the first line. Sangha Satsu Vidhiyatam. I think when I was studying Sadhana Panchakam and when I was in the YEP course and Swamiji was talking about this, I didn't really understand until a few days ago how much this applies to me. I think that seeking companionship with men of wisdom, always being in the company of good people is very, very important. When I was in college, I know that my parents tried to push me. A lot of my relatives tried to push me. Oh, Meghna, how come you don't come to, Bal Vihar anymore? You don't come to Chinmay Mission. Even Swamiji tried to push me. Why don't you try and come teach even on Sundays? I know you're in Sherman, but the drive isn't that bad. You should just come be a part of all of the sessions. And I would always say no, because one, I'm very, very honest, and I will admit it. I was very lazy, and I didn't really feel that I had the time. Nor did I want to put in the effort, right, into coming and being a part of something so awesome, until I finally decided to take that step and join the YEP course. And only then did I realize that being in the company of all of these people around me, all of my YEP batchmates and all of the acharyas during Mahasamadhi camp and Yatindraji and Swamiji made me feel so positive and gave me so much positive energy. And that is what being in good company means, right? You don't want to be in negative energy. You don't want to be around people that bring you down or people that talk down about you. It's just a bunch of drama, right? You don't want to be around teenage drama. That's so yesterday, okay? So being in the company of people that listen to you and that help you and that advise you, right? They start with, first of all, you can confide in Bhagwan, you can confide in your parents, you can confide in the acharyas that are always there to listen to you, and even your friends, right, that take part in all of these gatherings. And it really, really spoke to me in the sense that there are so many opportunities that Chinmay Mission gives to us through the form of satsangs. I remember during the YUP course, we were having an informal satsang with Swamiji, and he explained to me, just in the span of 2 seconds, that for every single satsang that you come to, you must have done some great action or some great karma in your past life in order to be here at this very spot today. And that was something that spoke to me because I had never really thought about, my previous janmas. I'm not that enlightened. I don't think that I'm aware of whatever is happening. But in order to really process that, I kind of sat with it for a little bit, and I had to think about all of my years growing up being in the Bal Vihar program, and all of my years growing up being a part of all of these great opportunities and listening to so many Swamijis, listening to Puja Guruji, listening to Swamiji Yatindraji, so many Swamijis over the United States that come, Swamijis from India. It kind of got me thinking about what could I have possibly have done in my past life to have been this blessed, right? And it's kind of a thought that kind of hits you, and then you just kind of sit there dumbfounded, and you're like, I don't really know exactly how I'm here. But the fact that you are here now means that you should make good use of it, right? You should make use of the opportunities that you get. So the fact that I'm here sitting and talking to all of you probably means I must have done something really awesome. Do I know what? No, I don't. But it means that learning from the things that these acharyas and swamijis teach you is something that you need to cultivate. You need to make it a habit, right? Whatever Swamiji tells you every single Sunday, I know Payal was talking about this yesterday, right? We come to Chinmay Mission on Sundays, we listen to what all of the Swamijis and Acharyas and even our Bal Vihar teachers, we listen to what they have to say, and then we go home and then we forget about it, right? We forget about it and we don't really remember until probably Saturday night or Sunday morning where we're like, oh man, I gotta go to Bal Vihar, or man, I gotta go teach, or I gotta go learn, or whatever it might be. But really, really taking that to heart and thinking about what we learn every single Sunday. And I know with technology nowadays, Swamiji, makes it a point to post all of our CHYK satsangs on the web, or to post any of the satsangs that they do, so that even if we can't physically be a part of it, we are mentally a part of it. We're mentally there. We have that opportunity to go and listen, whether if it's not in the present, but we can listen to it later if we don't get to it, But I think that also, not just listening to it, we also need to make sure that there is that physicality, there is that nearness of actually physically being in the company of people that enlighten you, of people that give you positive vibes. Vibes, positive and both negative, are something that I truly believe in. I never really understood what auras were, and I didn't really believe it. From reading Twilight and all of these things, like all of these concepts were kind of brought in, and I was like, is that even a thing? And until I studied a bit of Vedanta, did I kind of understand what the negative energy and positive energy kind of was, and I got a glimpse for that for myself. And being around positive energy is something that's just so wonderful. You don't want to ever be away from that. And once you get into, following the right path and following the things that you're supposed to do, following the advice that people give you because they're coming from a good place, following the advice of people that you trust, that is something that you will benefit from when you seek the companionship of men of wisdom, right? They're here for a reason. They're there to guide you on the right path, right? Which leads me to the next point of Bhagavato Bhaktir Dridhadhiyatam, right? Be established in firm devotion in the Lord. When I was in the YUP course, I have a lot of YUP references just because I figured out how much this all applies to me now, studying it now in the future rather than at that time. I remember that the best part of my day, or the things that I would look forward to the most, were bhajans and japa. Not because it was just a time where, nothing happened and we would just sing and be dandy and be happy, but it was my main way of expressing my bhakti to Bhagwan. And I don't think that I realized that until a couple of days into the YEP course, and a couple of months had passed where that was just my favorite part of the day. That was just where my positivity resided and where my energy would just kind of shine. And I would always, try to get as many people as I could to sing these bhajans and to sing as much as I love to sing and express how much I love the Lord. And I remember at first it was quite a task, and I remember there were a couple of my batchmates that were like, I don't want to sing, I'm not going to sing, until I finally Swamiji made a rule that if you rang the bell in the mornings for that day, you would be singing the bhajan. So everybody never got out of it. So if you ring the morning bell, you will be singing a bhajan. Be ready. And I think that having that bhakti is not something that comes overnight. There are so many people that I have been fortunate to meet that have always, told me, Meghna, you sing so well, or Meghna, you dance so well, or you chant so well. Never give this up. This is something that'll help you. And I don't think that I understood all of what that exactly meant, because all I did was chant. Growing up, I would come to Bal Vihar and I would learn whatever the shlokas that Swamiji taught me, and I would learn them, but I would never really sit and understand exactly what I was chanting. And so it never really struck a chord with me about like, okay, Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha, what does that even mean? I had no idea. All I knew was that I had to elongate the ah. It was a Mahaprana. I had to elongate it, and I had to not confuse my buzz and puzz and does and does. That's all I knew, right? Until I finally started learning it and understanding exactly what Bhagavan Shri Krishna was telling Arjuna. And I think to this very day, I always tell myself of a certain motto: do your best and leave the rest. If you have that bhakti, if you have that shraddha in the Lord, right, you do the best that you can, and He will take care of everything else. I think that having this bhakti and keeping that going and passing it on to others is also something that we should do, right? Not only should we stand firm in the devotion of ourselves, but making sure that we spread that joy and we spread that energy. When I was going through Chinmaya Mission, I know I gave an example in the past of like, okay, I have to go every Sunday, and then I'll go back home and I'll forget it, and then I'll come back the next Sunday, and it'll just kind of be a back and forth. But I think now in my life, I've made sure, or attempted to make sure at least, that the devotion that I have every single day is consistent, right? Consistency is the key. Consistency is what matters. You need to make sure that your, sadhana that you do, whether that's puja or japa or just saying the Lord's name 3 times, right? In the morning and in the afternoon, that you do. It's like a routine. It's almost like a habit. It's almost something that becomes a part of you, right? So it's something that you need to make sure that you are kept consistent in your mind and in your heart, because that's something that will really, really help you in the future. And this is what this line is all about, right? Being established in firm devotion to the Lord. And is something wrong? Okay. So with those 2 things being said, I think the one thing that I want all of you here today to take away is that like I said before, bhakti is not something that happens overnight, and it will definitely help you in the future when you are, facing times of difficulty, when you're facing tough times. I was talking to a really close friend today who was trying to explain to me what bhakti was, and he was saying that bhakti is not expressed necessarily in bhajans or japa, but it's expressed in the shraddha that you have inside of you, so that you can keep going in life. And that is where I will stop so that the next speaker can come in. Thank you, and Hari Om.
Hari Om. We're going to continue with the second line, and I'll be lead and repeat. Okay. Shantyadhiparichiyatam dridhataram Karmashu santyajyatam. Okay. So Shantyadhiparichiyatam. So before I start, I'm Abhirami Subramanian. I've been coming to Balvihar since I was 6. And then I took a huge break after I graduated, and I'm trying to get back into coming back to all of this. So I did Shlokathon, and I definitely recited Sadhana Panchakam, but I never completely understood it. And I'm glad I offered to talk about this just so I could actually understand what I chanted so many years ago. And it's definitely opened my eyes to a lot of different situations in my life, and hopefully it does the same for you as well. So, and in doing this, it kind of helped me refresh a lot of the things I learned growing up as well. So for the first line, I like to kind of refresh the whole concept of BMI. For me, it was a huge refresher, so we'll just talk about it briefly. But so the body, mind, and intellect are these nets that we're caught in as like jivatmas, and the body perceives the outside world and feeds that information to the mind. And the mind is a feeler, and so it kind of reacts to it. It's kind of like an unruly child. And the intellect kind of comes in and discriminates and instructs the mind on how to act. And so it's a very interesting relationship between these things. And so when our mind is so agitated, and we don't necessarily always follow the instructions of the intellect. The intellect is, what distinguishes us from animals, and that animals basically just react to the situation. So they perceive things through their sense organs and just react to, whatever that is. But with our intellect, we're supposed to act on things. And so the mind is calm, the intellect is able to, guide and instruct us. But, sometimes we just react to things. So, I love ice cream, and so I'll, keep eating it. And every time I eat it, it's like, yes, I love this. And I hate garlic, and so, it's something you just kind of avoid. But, this is, again, if you just listen to that mind, you're just going to be reacting to things. So a pure mind and intellect relationship can get you closer to understanding the self. And it allows you to contemplate, which is important in subduing the ego. So what are some things that can kind of shut the sense organs down so that the mind calms down? And that's basically what the first portion of this line talks about. So I guess kind of like a popular example, I don't know if you guys have watched the show Stranger Things. So in one episode, so basically this is like a little girl who, her name's 11, and she has these incredible powers that she can locate people and locate conversations that are happening in this universe and a parallel universe. And at one point in the show, she has to find one of her friend in another universe. And she's not able to do that because she's getting a barrage of information from around the world, or from around her. And so she tells her friend, can you build a sensory deprivation tank for me? Basically, they put her underwater, they put salt, there was like a huge, like a chemistry experiment going on. And they were able to help her calm her mind, basically. And when her mind was calm, she was able to locate that person in the other dimension. I guess a more practical example, whenever we sleep, we're not receiving information from the outside world. we're a state of consciousness, we're still alive, but we're not receiving information from the world. And then so in a deep state of sleep, your mind is completely calm. And so that's kind of what you're trying to get to, is when you're not having those sense organs perceiving things and sending it to the mind and throwing your mind into different directions. And so a couple of different sadhanas, which are like disciplined practices that you can follow for vision. Whenever we close our eyes to pray, that's a way of removing the visual stimulus from around the world so that we can concentrate on, prayer and things like that. And then as far as taste, there's always fasting. My mom used to do this thing where she'd stop eating sweets, and that was her way of fasting. And then as far as even touch, right? We're sleeping on comfortable mattresses, but there are people who sleep on the ground, especially when they're going on different trips to different temples, and that's part of their sadhana for that trip. So these are different ways to help you take out the sense organs that feed your mind, and helps the mind calm down so that you can contemplate more on the self. Okay, and so we'll go on to the next line, or next part of the line. Karma shusantyajyatam. And so basically this is avoiding all disease-ridden actions. In the ideal world, we would be acting without desires, without thinking of the fruit of our actions. We would be we wouldn't attach ourselves to the fruits of our labors, and we wouldn't have ulterior motives. That's not to say that we shouldn't have motivations or goals. Those are very important. So say, if you're a sailboat, you need the wind and to give you direction, to give you movement. But the thing is that you shouldn't get attached to the fruits of those actions. And so in reality, we're acting in an egocentric way. So what are some of the fruits that we desire? Based on our nature. So someone who has rajoguna tendencies may, have the outcome may feed their ego. Oh, I did a great job on this, so this is pretty awesome for me. A tamoguna person could be doing something out of revenge or a negative reason. And a sattva-guna person can also be acting in an egocentric way as well. I have to do this for God. I am the greater devotee, so I must do this, or, things like that. And so even if you are, doing something, it's like punya for you to be doing those things, but it's still ego-driven, and so that's still a problem. So some other things like doing things for praise, or even self-satisfaction as well. So these actions all feed the ego, and whenever we feed the ego, those actions kind of perpetuate, and each action continuously feeds our ego, and that is kind of the state of an animal, I guess. And so we should really be acting with that expectation and with the purpose of doing, but that purpose of just simply doing can be difficult. And so one way, one sadhana that you can do is to assign that karma pala to the higher being or purpose. And that in itself is sadhana. So kind of a real life example for me, I've never actually had this problem in the past, but we had, we have these big tests, and, in the field of medicine, your whole life is just a bunch of tests every 10 years, recertification, blah, blah, blah. And I really got attached to the outcome of one test. And, it really does drive you crazy to be like, oh, I have to have this score, and it alters your state of mind, and kind of prevents you from going forward. But beyond that, I was thinking like, oh, this is not an ego-driven, outcome that I was looking for. Like, I wanted a test score. Why did it go wrong? And so, every action in a way is driven by ego. And with contemplation about it, I realized that, it was in a way driven by ego. And so you do learn from it. And again, it's a practice. And so eventually you can get to a point where, it's not, you're not as attached to the outcome or the fruits of your labor. And so slowly I've seen that improvement as well. So that was it for me. How are you?
How are you? My name is Manoj Putler. I'm a freshman in college right now, and I just graduated from volleyball last year. So I'll be doing the second verse, third line. Please repeat after me. Sadvidvanupasripyatam Pratidinam Tatpadukasevyatam. Okay, so this line is talking about, first is going to a guru and surrendering to them. And coincidentally, today is National Teacher Appreciation Day. So happy Teachers Day, everyone. So first thing is going to a guru. A guru is anyone that's well-versed in the scriptures and established in self-knowledge. But for us, the biggest question, what we have to ask is, how do we find a guru and what's the right path? But in our current state of ignorance, even if a guru appears right in front of us, it's hard to recognize that. It's hard to recognize that this is the guru that's given to us, or this is the person we have to follow. In fact, I'll be sharing a quote from Swami Chinmayananda. The quote starts, "The real guru is the pure intellect within, and the purified, deeply aspiring mind is the disciple." And the path to finding the guru, the best way is to follow the scriptures. In fact, the first step is to have the intense desire for self-knowledge, as well as living the instructions taught in the scriptures, such as the Bhagavad Gita. But the reason why we can't just go to a guru is that there's a process to this, and we have to be able to read the scriptures. And the reason why we need a guru is because just reading the scriptures doesn't mean you truly understand it. So I'll be giving an example from a popular movie that everyone's probably seen, Star Wars. So before a Padawan finds his master, he's nothing but a Jedi youngling. And they try to learn in the classroom, where they're in a classroom setting with a group of kids, and they're trying to learn the Jedi way. But the main reason for this is where there's a teacher who's teaching a group of children the Jedi way and basically the history of the Jedi, and them trying to learn the books. But they're not truly masters of it. Just because even if they know the books and they can recite it word for word, it doesn't mean they experienced it or even practiced it. That's why after they pass all the tests and they become apprentice with the Jedi Master, who the Jedi Master guides him through taking him into missions and taking him to solve problems, so that everything they learn is practice. And that's why the guru is important, where that part of the process comes in, where the guru tries to teach you how to live, and tries to put all what you learned before into practice. But the second step is approaching the guru and surrendering yourself. which is probably the most important step, because even if the guru comes right in front of you, what you have to do in order to be able to learn from them is that you have to be able to surrender yourself and surrender your egos completely. So when the student surrenders to the to the teacher, it shows confidence and trust. That's the main, probably the most important between a guru and a disciple, the confidence and trust and the mutual understanding. But for self-knowledge to take place, the student's mind has to be receptive and shouldn't have any resistance towards the guru. So another example is how Anakin Skywalker was always resistant to what Obi-Wan Kenobi says, and that's why, spoiler alert, he fell to the dark side. So, for example, it's kind of hard to tie our daily lives to this because we aren't in that state yet, for sure. So I guess the process that we're in right now is reading the scriptures for ourselves, trying to understand, and having a desire for self-knowledge. And a guru will come along in our life and basically help us and guide us through this process. So we have to be able, when the guru does come, we have to be able to be ready to surrender ourselves and surrender our resistance and be receptive to to his teachings. So the second part of the line is talking about serving the padakas or sandals to the teacher daily. Serving the guru's feet means serving the guru himself. We put the guru to the highest regards. And the guru doesn't really need anything from us because his needs are pretty minimal. But what we have to do is basically serve him, and in the process, we'll be learning even more. In the process of serving the guru, your likes and dislikes will also become neutralized. Because when you're taking care of him, you aren't really worried about yourself. You're just worried about making sure the guru has what he needs. Like, for example, like he has, like, if you're feeding him, he has the food. In this process, you aren't really thinking about what you could gain, but if you are, you're not really learning. The previous speaker, Abhi, was talking about how, like, your actions, it depends on what you think before your actions, whether they're like steered because of your own ego or just plain surrendering. And the best process is serving the guru without selfishness. Not being like, the guru could do this to me if I give this to him, but rather just making sure that the guru has what he himself needs. Guru's padaka is also serving what the guru stands on and serving his teachings and instructions. Is one of the main things, not just serving his needs, but also serving on his teachings. As you learn from the guru, you also have to continue his teachings throughout your own life. And continuing his traditions and continuing his teachings is probably the biggest seva you could probably do. And I think, yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Hari. I would be talking about the last verse of the second shloka. I would request everyone to repeat after me. Brahmaikaksharam arthatam Shrutishiro Vakyam Samakarnyatam. To start with, here they speak about Brahman. Before learning scriptures, it is always said that we need to have a dedicated mind to it, because there is so much knowledge that is going to be passed on during the time period that it is necessary for us to be able to grasp that entire knowledge. So any basic class or any basic satsang that we begin, it is always, we always begin with chanting 3 Oms and then moving forward with it. The importance of chanting 3 Oms is that while chanting the word Om itself, it negates out all the tendencies and the movements or constant juggling that is going on in your head of the various thoughts. I tried this. We were doing a workshop with Swami Sarveshanandi, and he said meditation is important and one should start meditating. I was like, I've tried this, Swamiji, but it doesn't work. It's like, it doesn't work. He said, how is the process? Explain it to me. I said, I sit in peace. I see to it that everything is like the curtains are closed. There's no distraction that can happen. The phone is literally switched off, like power off. Or I see to it that my phone battery reaches to a level that automatically drains off when it's done. So that part of the distraction is also taken care of. I see to it that there is nobody at home, so that that part of the distraction is also taken care of. So I specifically choose such a time sit for meditation, and I started with only 5 minutes, like a minimum of only 5 minutes to sit in meditation. But it so happens that when you start with chanting Om and you finish 3 chants of Om, and then you just sit in meditation or take the Ittadevata mantra that Swamiji has given and you start repeating it, somewhere in between, there is one single thought that will come in. You'll be like, oh, I have to go to the lab. I have to maybe see or put some medium to these cells. Okay, so that thought comes. And then it goes on and on and on. You start connecting dots in different ways that even if you cannot think in a normal mind, you start connecting dots. It goes wavering around, and it goes to the plan of the entire day. You plan your entire day, you plan the next day also. It goes to that extent, and within 5 minutes you're done with everything, and it ends. And then you open your eyes and I'm like, I cannot sit in meditation. So Swamiji said that thoughts are to be observed. When you are meditating, they just need to be observed. Consider that those thoughts are like small children playing in a garden. They're just playing in front of you. You don't need to participate in them. You just need to watch them, enjoy it, cherish it, and then withdraw from it. You don't even need to participate or encourage that thought so that you can start connecting dots. So basically, it is necessary that you know that you are at peace so that you can gain more knowledge. In Mandukya Upanishad, it is said that Om is Brahman and Brahman is everywhere. So Om is everywhere. And when you meditate on that one particular thought continuously, there itself you feel that vibration coming in and you do not have any other thoughts which can meddle with your thought process, basically. After that is done, the next step is to have a satsanga or to have that interaction with your guru for gaining more and more knowledge. Now, there is a logical reason why Upanishads were taught to children at an earlier age of 6. The reason there is that when they are young, they can read. They can grasp as much as they can. As they grow older and older, their vision becomes less, like they can see very faintly, or they cannot see it properly, or they have different eye problems, etc. But their intellect is definitely sharp. So they can definitely ponder upon what they have learned so far. The other sense organs are active, so they can have a dialogue. They can have a satsanga with people of like-minded who are interested in discussing those topics. And they definitely, as I said, the intellect is sharp, and they can also listen to things. But as they have learned the chanting or learned the Vedas, it is not difficult for them to read. Looking at things, reading them, it comes with practice. So when you start at a younger age, you repeat things again and again and again, and it comes into practice. For me, the first shloka that I learned was Hanuman Chalisa. I learned it from my mother when I was maybe like 7 or 8 years old. I didn't know the meaning of it. She tried to explain it to some extent, and I definitely listened to it, but because of my childhood behavior, I used to just wander around here and there, and I was very fidgety about things. I just had to finish chanting and get out of there so that I can go and play. That's it. That was my aim. Her aim was different, so that I learn it. But over a period of time, I started liking it. Over a period of time, when I was a kid, people used to tell me, it's a common thing. You see it in films, you see it everywhere. If you fear anything, you chant Hanuman Chalisa. Then your fear is gone. So I knew that if I am under any bad situation, I'll chant Hanuman Chalisa and I'll be like away from that particular thing. So that importance of Hanuman Chalisa was imbibed into me at a very tender age. And so on and so forth. I then learned Aditya Hridayam, then Vishnu Sahasranamam, then Meda Suktam, all the other Suktams. But still, Meda Suktam, I hold, it holds definitely a special place in my heart. First reason is because it's very small. It's like really small. Yeah, definitely. But without understanding what it conveys or what Meda Suktam says, you cannot cherish it. You can see a mango. Looking at it, you know that if it is like faintly pink, reddish, and then you have a yellow color, you know that it's a good, ripe mango. Then you start like taking it near to your nose and you smell it. If you get that awesome smell, you know that yes, it is ripe, it is sweet. It is like you can just attack on it. But you cannot give a person a mango, show him the color, teach him how to recognize the smell, and then take it away from him. He will not relish it. He has to open the fruit and enjoy it to the core. Like to the core till the point that there is nothing left inside except for the peel of the mango. Sometimes there are mango varieties where you can even eat the peel. So yes, but till the time that is consumed, the person or anybody matter cannot understand it. Similarly, by learning shlokas, you can just learn it. It can give you a pleasure. I can chant it within 5 minutes and be done with it. And I can also say that I did my 5 minutes of praying for God and I'm done for the day. But without understanding the meaning, I really don't understand what exactly does it try to convey. It is always said, like in India or wherever, basically it is said that if you chant this mantra, you will achieve success. If you chant this mantra, you will achieve success. And it is a way of telling children are like middle school, high school students, that if you chant this, you will achieve success. So somehow or the other, it is the aim of whoever is teaching it that they should learn it because it is necessary. As a parampara, it has to be carried forward from generation to generation. That is the first aim. Second, we should not forget our roots. Whatever is taught to us by our gurus, again, parampara does play a major role that is being carried forward from generation after generation. It has to be passed on. And it is necessary. They say that mantra or they say that shloka for a particular reason, and that is why it is necessary and it is being taught. But to make it understand so that they at least learn it in the first place is by, if you learn this, you will achieve success. You will achieve 100 out of 100 in mathematics. So it is the other way of saying ki if you eat dahi shakkar, so marks pakka milega, don't worry about it. Or bhindi khaoge to maths ka paper to 100 peso. So it is a given. It is that kind of a thing. Day before yesterday, I remember we were interacting with Sarveshananji, and he said that it is surprising. We are presently doing a satsanga with Sarveshananji on Drigdrishya Vivek. So he mentioned that straight away the first text that he taught Gurudev was Drigdrishya Vivek. He never taught Gurudev Bhagavad Gita at all. But it was considered that the student would do that hard work of going, studying Bhagavad Gita, finding the references, if any given in the Rigdrisha Vivek or Kenopanishad or Kathopanishad, and coming back to it and contemplating on it basically. So that particular characteristic is also necessary. That one should research completely on it. One should know what each and every word means. Reading in English is something that is easy because it is in an everyday life we are taught, and we are taught reading and writing English since our birth or when we start going to school. But Sanskrit is a language which is much more richer, and you need to know what it means. Like, as I have grown up in the western part of India, I know 3 languages: Hindi, Marathi, and English. I can read and write the Devanagari script. So it becomes easy for me to break the words, or basically sometimes understand what a particular word in that entire statement written in Sanskrit means. Because somehow, somewhere I've heard it, or somehow, somewhere I've used it. I can understand it. You cannot understand people who come from South India, or basically all the languages, I would say, has some or the other roots to Sanskrit. So it is also necessary that you learn Sanskrit so that you can understand the meaning, and you can somehow correlate to it in your local language so that you completely understand and can think about it. If you don't know a particular thing, then that inquisitiveness is necessary that you delve into it and understand it completely. So understanding the language, understanding the meaning is equally important. Coming back to Om. Before beginning a lecture, I forgot to mention this actually. Before beginning a lecture, we chant Om. The importance there is, it's like a javelin thrower. The person is carrying that, or shot put game. The person is carrying that heavy metal ball in his hand. The heavy metal ball is Om. But to throw it across to a particular distance, he requires the use of the body, mind, and intellect, as well as the momentum that it develops, so that it can reach that place. So the connection between Om and Brahman is also the same. You cannot be attached to Om and think that it is only Brahman. If you have the body, mind, intellect to understand how you can gain that momentum, and then use Om to go across and reach Brahman, that is like a complete circle coming to its end. That's how a knowledge, or anything for that matter, should be understood or taken into consideration. To also summarize, as I'm ending this with the last line, to summarize what all the 4 speakers have said so far, it is a process. It is a step-by-step process that has been given. The first is to find like-minded people, to find out people who will appreciate you discussing a particular aspect in a particular crowd, who would like to bring in their thoughts and their ideas into the conversation so that you can also get good ideas. It is always not necessary that you, looking at a thing, can think about, like, understand it from all the different perspectives. It is never possible. You have to have a discussion or a proper or detailed study. Like in science, if we don't understand a particular thing, we refer to different textbooks. It is not only a given textbook that we refer to. Similarly, the company of like-minded people is necessary. That is what the first statement and the speaker mentioned. The second is to be devoted to Lord, to be devoted and to understand that whatever happens, ultimately the Lord will take you across. The Lord is also there to help you in any which way that is possible. He has created man with the beautiful gift of intellect so that the person can think. So he has already given that gift. He has already helped you 50% there. 25% that you have to put in is to read, understand, and the next 25%, you have the grace of gurus and God that can help you basically understand the whole thing together. The next is to get rid of all our actions or like selfish actions. Because of selfishness, we perform certain actions. And because of those actions, we appreciate those actions because we get fruits out of doing that selfish desires. And then we continue to do it, repeat it again and again and again, without recognizing that it's a vicious circle. So doing selfless acts is something which will bring more happiness to heart, and there is no ulterior motives that is attached to it. That is the next point that is highlighted. Followed by which is to completely surrender to a master. Because at some point, or definitely at one point, you need a guru who can teach you. You cannot start from somewhere. You have to start with a guru. So completely surrendering, trusting, believing, and connecting with that guru is a prime requirement. And then only whatever the guru says or tries to explain would at least like you'll be able to understand. Then serving him as sandals, it says that you have to be, like it implies that you have to be at the service of the guru at all points. Again, yesterday, to give a reference, we were having a dialogue with Swamiji, and there was a point brought by Prachiti where she was mentioning about Krishna and a sage, where the sage teaches Krishna and Balarama everything that is possible. And demands nothing as Guru Dakshina. But he knows that the sage's wife is demanding that their dead child is brought back to life. And that wish can be granted only by Bhagavan Krishna. Nobody else. He has the power to go back and bring it. But so the sage never voices this out, but he never says it to Krishna that this is my wish, and you can offer this to me as Guru Dakshina. But Bhagavan being Bhagavan, he understands it, and he goes back and brings his dead son alive, because that is where he feels that the importance of Guru is that Guru Dakshina should be given and the Guru should be served. And the Guru, whatever the Guru says, is the ultimatum. So you should follow it. Because the Guru has much more knowledge and is saying it with a particular understanding. He knows what would be better for you and not. So following and surrendering to the Guru and being at his service is also the primary requirement. Then comes chanting Om, so that all the vibrations, wrong vibrations, are all removed, and you can sit in peace and try to gain and soak in as much knowledge as you can in the satsang. And finally, Upanishad. Upanishad, when you break it, Upa means near, Ni means below, and Shad means to sit. So coming close and near and sitting below in front of the Guru and listening to him in one attention and understanding and soaking, as I said, all that he can give out to you is the ultimate point where you can get more knowledge, and then you can contemplate and try to understand it further. So to conclude, this is what has been summarized completely in the second verse and by Adi Shankaracharya. Let's all chant Shanti Mantram and close. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.
Okay.